Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk, straight from their jocks about the jocks. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I'm Jim McPhee. Alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Autos? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. We are locked and loaded, ready to go, talk some more football with you. And we are also going to be bringing up the topics of Odell Beckham Jr., where he possibly could be going, what decision could he make, and what would be the smart decision for Odell Beckham Jr. going forward, as well as what a crazy past Sunday we've had. A lot of upsets. A lot of craziness with referees making terrible calls and what have you. We already know the deal there. But also we want to thank you, welcome you. If you're new to the show, make sure you head over to YouTube or Facebook. Football on the Know Show. You can search us up on. Hit the subscribe button. Really support. It helps us out. Support the channel and hit the notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. We can also follow us on Twitter at FB_know. Really appreciate you guys jumping in here. We already got first guy right in the front door right here. Just came in. Yeah, that's right. We got Mac Boyd here.
Max Boyd's in the house with us. He says Patriots all the way, baby. Yeah,
he's all
they
excited.
pulled out a nice win here.
All
The
excited.
Patriots fans excited, getting back to their winning ways, and they love Mac Jones out there. I'm super excited, and you know why, too? Because I've been going to repsports.com and get my Raise Energy. Joe, we got the promo code right now, Raise 'em Up, RAZEMUP. That's right. You put in that promo code right now. You guys can get a discount here on your Raise next order here. All you got to do is pay shipping there for that. So make sure you go to repsports.com for that and get yourself some Raise. We got the new flavor, too, coming. Is the berries and cream, I think.
Berries and cream.
Oh, man,
berries and cream.
Sounds amazing.
I love berries and cream.
Absolutely, yeah. So, a crazy weekend. A lot of upsets, Joe. We want to talk about upsets and how the NFL has tried to get parity here and there and everywhere. Mm-hmm. It is not shown as much as it was this past weekend and this past season. This season has been off the wall. Just when you think you got a team dialed in and they're going to be a winner, a contender, all of a sudden they have lay an egg of a game. And last week, the Buffalo Bills. What the heck happened with them and the Jacksonville Jaguars? I mean, was it just like the right type of setup here? It seemed like to me that they were just kind of lethargic. Like, again, I think they were going to roll through this team, kind of not really prepared enough, and they were kind of just like, all right, let's just go and kind of go through the motions.
That's exactly what it was.
And then it kind of seemed like when the game started to just seem like, oh, wait a minute, the time's ticking. It's like, we got to get going, and then they couldn't get it started here.
Yeah, that's exactly what it came down to, is they were just overlooking that team, and they got surprised. They got punched in the face. That's what it is. They just got punched in the face. They thought they had a clean, an easy win, clean. They were just going to walk in there and walk out with a W, and it just did not happen. So the Bills, this is going to be their wake-up week. You know what I mean? I fully expect them to come back strong this week and try to dominate. In Week 10.
Absolutely. I mean, again, and the problem is with the Bills, it could be maybe this is an eye-opener for them is they really got to get that running game going. If you cannot be balanced and you can't have Josh Allen being your main runner and have all the yards for them and have all the pressure go on him to perform, that ends up being very one-dimensional and it becomes a problem. Because also when you see he got pressured, he started to make some of those bonehead mistakes that some of these younger quarterbacks do when you feel like the game's on them and they feel like they have to do everything to make things happen. You're starting to see it with Patrick Mahomes. You've seen it with the quarterback for the Carson Wentz for the Colts. He's done it time and time again for the Eagles, where it feels like, oh man, there's nothing really around me. Things aren't going right. I got to do something here. And the not taking the sack always bothers me. You see that with a lot of quarterbacks of the year. We saw it with Matthew Stafford even too. The old Spinner-Rooney interception, right there for a pick six. Like, what the hell was that? You know what I'm saying? You're going down. And even they said too, I think they asked the one the referee that they had there with them on the team, like even if he went down there, it wouldn't have been a safety because of where the ball ended up being placed before the line. It still wouldn't have been a safety, but he doesn't know that at the moment. He's getting rushed. He knows he's standing in the paint. He's like, I got to get rid of this or I can't take the sack. but he happens to get whipped around and just throws it directly at a defender. And it got off to a real bad start here for the Rams, too, as well, going down to the Tennessee Titans, who were that defense and that defensive line really getting a pass rush going and looking like a different animal, too, as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, too, is like the Rams, they were in the same boat as the Bills. I feel like they were kind of overlooking the Titans, and it showed. They made mistakes, and mistakes that they don't normally make. Stafford, like you mentioned, like him being, wild with the football and not being smart with it. If you're going to get whipped around and you just want to get rid of the ball, just whip it right out of bounds. You know what I mean? As long as you got a receiver on the outside, you can just say, oh, well, I overthrew him. You know what I mean? You can do things to get away with it, even if he threw it in the ground, like towards a receiver's feet. You know what I mean? So that way it would just be an incomplete pass, and it was a rough outing for the Rams. Listen, Tennessee is balling out right now. They're handling business, and they're just making it. They're making the necessary plays to not only be in games, but coming out with the W in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other upsets here, too, was, and when you and I hit, let's just talk about that quick. Joe and I had gone to the Giants and Raiders game, too, over the weekend with a bunch of friends. We ended up, the more we talked about this game, and I found out more and more people were going to this game around this area. It was crazy.
A lot of guys that we knew.
Yeah.
And it's funny because even there's guys that I follow, like for the Raiders, that they were going to be there as well. Like there was a lot of meetups. There was a lot of people that were meeting down there right before the game, and it was a really cool atmosphere, to say the least. And it always is cool to go to a live football game, and we trash talk other teams and that type of thing. But to the community and the environment that you get kind of thrown into when you're down there, when you're tailgating, when you get to talk to other fans. Whether it be the opposing team's fans or your own team's fans, it's a unique and incredible experience. If you haven't been to a live football game, you got to do it. You have to do it. It is amazing. The conversations that can be had in the parking lot are amazing. You know what I mean? You can you bounce off ideas for everybody. And you got the guy that's parked right next to you. He might be a different fan, and you talk to him a little bit, and you get their perspective of the game. You get perspectives from other people that they may or may not like your team, but it's a unique experience in terms of what happens in tailgating. You know what I mean? People are sharing food. We're taking pictures together. We're having great conversations. Football-wise, and it doesn't even have to be about the game. It could be about, like, Odell Beckham right now. You know what I mean? It could be about anything, and it's awesome. It's just an awesome experience. I really hope everybody is able to take advantage of that. I know not everybody can, but if you can, please do so. It is awesome. It's such a great...
and it seems like to me it's even between Raiders fans and Giants fans. It seems like there's almost a mutual respect or just kind of friendship. It seems like because there was a lot of fans there that showed up in the same car that had half
Giants
of them were
and
Giants
Raiders
fans, half of them were Raiders fans. There was a husband that liked the Raiders and a wife that liked the Giants, or vice versa. It was crazy, dude, but it was a great time. We'll get back to that in just a minute. Max Boyd says, is Tennessee for real, though?
And that's going to be
that's the question, I think, for a lot of these teams.
And you're not going to get the answer right away, because now what we're witnessing right now with the Titans is that they're going through a transition without Derrick Henry being their bell cow. So let's see what kind of an offense they can develop without him in the lineup. Is it going to now what looks like, or what it should be, is them transform into a balanced offense and not so much run heavy anymore. You have big-time weapons in Julio Jones and A.J. Brown that you can utilize more to open up that run, to open up running lanes for your running backs that are getting the ball. So I think that it should look like they're going to be more balanced going forward until Henry's able to come back. However, they got to still win games. They still got to, without Derrick Henry, they're going to have to find ways to win. And so far, listen, they beat a big opponent in the Rams. Let's see if they can continue that success going forward into Week 10.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. When you're losing and missing out on some of your main players, that's part of your main drive and what your identity is. That's what when coming into this game against the Rams, I thought the Rams have got this. Then I mean,
right.
Yes, McNichols, could do all right, but then how much of a big of an impact was Adrian Peterson going to have on this team? And really, it didn't matter about any of that because the defense really stepped up and made it such a game for them and helped put this game away early. Basically the Rams weren't able to come back because I'm watching it here with my wife too as well, and she knows enough to see what's going on, and she's watching the turnovers after turnovers. And so let me get this straight. He just threw 2 interceptions. They turned into touchdowns. And now what happens again? They get the ball back again. He has to go back out there again. And I'm like, yes, he does. And again, they're trying to get the ball pinned back against their end zone again, too, and just come out of there. But you knew the feathers were ruffled early, and they couldn't get out of it. But being at that game, we got to see the scoreboards lighten up and hear around what was going around the league.
Yeah.
And all the fans were rejoicing when we got to see about the Denver Broncos dismantling the Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? Yeah, absolutely. Dak Prescott's back. Watch out. And maybe they should have just started Cooper Rush.
I mean, and there was an interesting stat that popped up in the stadium is that apparently the Broncos have won every matchup against the Cowboys for so many years. Like, and I was like, really? I'm like, wait a second. How far back does this go? Because it's like you got a Cowboys team that is like so far early on was on the rise, and they were like commanding this division. And you thought, I mean, we both thought coming into this week, we're like, there's no way Denver can beat this team. There's just no way. They got too many weapons on offense. They're getting Dak Prescott back. You know what I mean? And then the defense for the Cowboys has been playing better to a point. So I thought this was going to be like a one-sided game and the Cowboys were going to run away with it. But, man, it was the complete opposite for the Denver Broncos to show up in Dallas and just dismantle them in their own house.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy, and to see that even they were getting shut out for the longest time, and just couldn't put up any points. It was pretty rough for them, and I know Cowboys fans had to have been losing their minds. But
think?
It was big for us for the division because again we end up pulling out the win here at home and helping bridge the gap a little bit between this, in that division.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is the Cowboys fans we were drinking a lot. There's no doubt about it. They were drinking their sorrows away. Like, how did we let this game slip away from us? And not to mention, while we're at the game, when we're watching the game, the other cool part of seeing a live game is you get to witness the plays develop. Offensively, defensively, where guys are lining up. I mean, there's a lot of cool aspects of seeing a live game. You're not tunnel visioned with the camera watching whatever it's showing you. So that's the other cool thing. But we have none other than one of our know-it-all originals, our OG, Mike Tackett. Welcome to the show, Mike Tackett.
Mike Tackett's
much appreciated,
he
bro.
Says, happy Wednesday, boys. What a week to be. Wait, I gotta look at this one over here.
What a week to be a football fan.
There you go.
Unless you're a Raiders fan.
Sorry, Joe.
Sorry,
that's rough. Oh,
it's
kicking
fine.
The pants again.
It's
man.
fine.
That's
We're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
We're still winning. We're still winning record. We're still in the hunt for the division. I'm not worried about it. You know what I am worried about though, and something that kind of really popped out to me in that Giants game is that without Ruggs, without a weapon that can threaten that deep play ability, the Raiders' offense was limited. You know what I mean? In the passing game. Like, yeah, okay, we have Darren Waller. Okay, yeah, that's great. But if Darren Waller's taken out of the equation, like if you double-team Waller and try to limit his catches and everything, the rest of your guys, besides Hunter Renfrow had a great game.
Yeah.
Hunter Renfrow was getting open.
That was the game plan,
and
I said it to your dad before that.
But the thing is you need to have that threat. If Ruggs is there or if a weapon is there that can threaten that deep ball, it's a completely different ran offense. Then defenses can't account. They got to account for everybody then. So that kind of limited the Raiders' offense, and that's why you saw them kind of go out and they get a 34-year-old receiver in Deshaun Jackson, who is known for his speed and known for attacking downfield. How that is going to pan out for them, we'll have to wait and see. But none other. Mike Tackett jumps in. says, worst week of the season for me, going 6-8. Wow. Making me 87-49 on the year. Oh, man, that's cold. That's cold. That's cold. Here's my Week 10 picks. Ravens, Cowboys, Titans, Colts, Browns, Bills, Steelers, Bucks, Cardinals, Chargers, Broncos, Seahawks, Chiefs, Rams.
There you go. Well, so we'll look at them when we go to do our picks later on. But, yeah, that game, again, it was intense. And after the fact, looking at it, because that's a cool thing about being there and watching the game. The movements and the action, it's silent.
Yeah.
And then you got the fans cheering, though, still. But when
cool.
the play is actually
cool.
happening, you don't have the announcers. You don't have the quick inside views and stuff like that.
Which I don't need.
You don't. I mean, it was cool. But then to watch it afterwards now, see what happened, how the announcers reacted to things, how these things happen. And to say, when I was there, I thought it was a great game and just how it was back and forth. But then when you're a fan or say you're watching it all together, maybe from their aspect, watching on TV, they're like, man, this game was maybe kind of bad just because of the amount of turnovers that was happening and mistakes. Daniel Jones still only had the one touchdown pass to Evan Ingram in the beginning, and then had maybe 100 yards altogether the whole day or something like that.
Yeah,
only completed a couple of
110.
Yeah, a couple of passes. So really, all they did was kept feeding Devontae Booker there and kept running. It was just crazy how much they just ran the ball. It was frustrating at times when you're a fan watching it. It was just a tale of kind of two halves between the two teams, and I think just turnovers ended up being the main factor in this whole game, and Xavier McKinney making big plays when it mattered.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, like, this is Carr's worst game by far.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never seen him throw. And how much of this, and this is kind of something that I was talking to with a fan outside of our show. Mm-hmm. He was like, I really think, he was saying that, he goes, I really think that there was this emotional roller coaster that Derek Carr has gone through with Ruggs recently now going to be facing jail time because of that tragedy that occurred. It affected Carr more than anybody else on the team. And he expected, or he at least thought, that because of the emotional roller coaster he's gone through and because of how much he was close to Ruggs, that it kind of scarred him in a sense. And leading up to, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but it's a lot to deal with. Like when you have a best friend or a friend that you're really close with, and now they're going through a tragedy and he's not there anymore. You know what I mean? It's like there's an absence. So it definitely affected him, and I feel like it affected his play. But nonetheless, like, you're playing a game, you kind of have to do your best to block that out and get to – there's going to be plenty of time to heal over time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean about this? And I'm not trying to be, cold about this, but it's like it's a game right now that you need – this is the time when you can block that out and try to focus on football and try to be the best that you can be. And I think he kind of allowed it to bother him a little bit too much into this game. He made a lot of uncharacteristic throws, a lot of poor decisions that were made. And a lot of times it looked like he was just trying to lob the ball too much instead of just getting it to his receiver and getting the ball there with some power.
Yeah, because even altogether, he didn't really receive a lot of pressure from the Giants. They weren't really pressuring. He had a lot of time in the pocket. And early on in that game, they did a lot of running. I mean, Josh Jacobs was go wherever he wanted to. Mm-hmm. I mean, it looked like it was really rough for us at first. I'm like, watch this. I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be pretty tough.
Yeah, the critical parts were like the Raiders. They were moving the ball up and down the field. As soon as red zone happened, it seemed like they weren't calling the right plays. They weren't being aggressive anymore, and they got a little conservative again. This is a stigma that Gruden had, and now. This is the first week that I've seen it where it was a problem, and hopefully they get it corrected with Greg Olsen and his play calling. Maybe they become more aggressive this week facing the Chiefs. And it was like one of those back-and-forth battles. And the real kicker, the real turning point of the game for me was that pick six.
Yeah.
That was absolutely the turning point of the game. And a lot of people, a lot of Raider fans anyway, they're going to say, oh, well, the last drive we had, we were going right down the field, and then Colton Miller gives up the sack. And everybody kind of and the funny thing is, Josh Jacobs had an opportunity to just jump on it. Just jump on it. He tried to pick it up. No, just jump on it. Give your offense another chance. But anyway, And I think it's hilarious how Raider fans they get when they now they're blaming Carr for a terrible game. They're blaming Colton Miller for giving up that sack.
Well, it could have been everything.
But here,
Carlson missed the kick for the easy field goal.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I understand that. But to me, what I think about is that critical pick six. That's really the turning point, and that's really what decided the game. If that doesn't happen, maybe it's a different outcome. Maybe it's not. But everybody wants to point their fingers about, oh, well, Colton Miller gave up a sack at the end. It was the most crucial time. Yeah, was it crucial time? Yes. However, that was his first sack he's given up this year.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing. The line has been tight the whole game. That's what I mean. They barely got any pressure, only when those key moments when it mattered.
Yep.
And not only that pick six there by McKinney, but I think the second one was bigger than anything. Because, again, the Raiders were driving. They were moving the ball. And they were in the not exactly the red zone, but scoring position.
They were in the middle of the
field.
They were
getting there. They were getting there. But then, again, that read by McKinney and coming up with that pick, again, saved and stopped that drive from happening, and that was big moments like that ended up solidifying that win for him. Mike Tackett says that you guys bring an earpiece to listen to the call on the local radio channel. Nothing beats watching the game as it's played, but for some, they need to hear that the call too. No, I don't bring any earpieces or anything like that. I like to experience it for the way it is.
I have plenty of voices in my head telling me about the game, so I don't need to listen to a radio channel.
Yeah, I mean, you have ourselves. We sit there and watch it, and we're looking at the different positions, and again, we're trying to even read whether they're doing zone or not. At least for me, I'm watching it all go down, and we're like, yeah, watch this play. I bet you it's going here or something.
So here's the funny thing going on. Is while we're watching the game.
By the way, hold on real quick. Yeah. Joe and I didn't even sit near each other. So, by the way, check this out.
No, we couldn't. We couldn't.
No, we couldn't.
But anyway, while we're watching the game, I'm picking out plays. I'm calling them before they happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, this guy's coming in. He's reported eligible. This is a run right up the middle again. If I'm the D coordinator, I'm bringing everybody up to the line, and I'm stuffing the run. And it's like, oh, there it goes. Oh, there's a 10-yard gain. Oh, told you. I mean, it's like there was plays that were being made. I'm like, oh, well, this is going to be a pass. Obviously, Kenny Galladay's our number one. It's probably going to go to him. And sure enough, it did in a post pattern. It's like, dude, these are so predictable. How am I getting these plays before they happen? And it's not like – it was almost like repetitious in a way. Giants were running the ball up the middle an awful lot.
Like that's all you had to do is stop the middle. They wouldn't go outside.
And
I
didn't see any real adjustments being made to try to stop it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I
don't know. I guess we got to be done talking about this game.
Joe, how about one more phrase? 79 is eligible.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a run up the middle, guys.
79. How many times did they say it? 79 is checking in as an eligible receiver.
They're bringing in an extra blocker.
Play.
They're bringing an extra blocker to run the ball.
Excellent. So it was a crazy weekend. That was a good game. But even Philadelphia, challenging the Chargers. Chargers looking to bounce back off of.
I'll tell you right now,
a bad loss there.
Yeah, that game, the Eagles should have won that game. They gave that up in the very end. I thought, and listen, we both picked the Chargers, right? We fully expected them to win.
Yeah.
But that game, I found myself watching a little bit of that game. I'm like, let's go Eagles. You know what I mean? Like it was like root for the underdog type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, also you're a Raiders fan though too. I'm sure you wanted to see the Chargers lose a little bit too as well.
Of course.
So. But yeah, it was a crazy week as well. More taunting calls made too. So
how about the Bengals not showing up
there? The Bengals again.
They just didn't even show up to the game.
One of those teams that you thought would just bounce back. And like I think it was Max had said about the Titans. Some of these teams, you're trying to figure out what they are. What's their identity? Are they good? Are they really not that good? We're not so sure. We can't tell even right now at Week 10 coming up. But the big news that hits the headlines right now, besides all the other nonsense, is Odell Beckham Jr. He cleared waivers and is now a free agent. That's right. So the talk is, and every time something like this happens is, oh well, where is Odell gonna go? What are key places that it'll fit? And when I was looking at salary cap again, you have your top tier teams there have space and things like that. Like the Jags and things and in Washington football team and stuff. But
yeah.
you know that now he's a free agent. He wants to go to a contender. So there's only a few out there that are really trying to contend. And the three teams that were brought up this particular, I think it was this afternoon or early this morning, was the Kansas City Chiefs, the Seattle Seahawks, and the Green Bay Packers. And out of those, I think the Packers is a better look for him, even though they do have Devontae Adams there. But also besides that, we heard Aaron Rodgers complain about the lack of depth, so he goes out and gets Randall Cobb. Tunyon, the tight end, is injured, for the rest of the year. So, I mean, that was a big target for him as well. So imagine Odell Beckham Jr. on this team to go with that Matt LaFleur offense. It just looks really nice, and they could get him on the cheap because right now I'm sure they offered him the veteran minimum right now, and that's where you kind of got to start off with Odell, knowing that he's kind of lost to like the locker room, I guess, like with teams, hasn't been looked very good in the media standards or out there, and hasn't been able to produce because he's been injured. So he's kind of on a show me deal right now. So he wants to be able to go to a contender, but then also be able to put up some numbers to kind of show that his worth and that he still got it and that he can still get paid.
And that's the bottom line. He wants to get paid next year. So in order to do that, he's got to pad his stats. He's got to be the number one option, the go-to guy. He's just got to be such an important piece to whatever offense he lands on that it's going to help him for his future. And this is where Odell, like they were mentioning Seattle Seahawks, I get it. Listen, they got $13 million in cap space. They could easily afford him. They could even outbid any team that is probably interested in him at the moment. So I know that teams aren't going to feel the pressure to kind of come into a bidding war because he's a risk and a reward. Like you mentioned, he's had his fair share of troubles on and off the field in New York, which led him to be traded away to Cleveland. And now we're seeing Cleveland give up on him again and flat out release him. He clears waivers. What does that mean for any team signing him? Well, now Cleveland's going to have to pay him the $7.25 million that was going to be allotted to another team had he be claimed. But now that he's a free agent, Cleveland's got to foot that bill, and the next team that signs him just has to pay him a little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe $1 million, maybe $2 million, and to get him to sign to whatever team. So we're talking about Seattle. I don't think it's a good fit at all. I mean, I have him as one of my possible Odell destinations only because Odell's agent has said he's interested playing there. But here's the bottom line. You got to think of your future as if you're Odell's agent or Odell himself. Yeah, it's the flashy team to go to because Russell Wilson's your quarterback at that point. But you got to contend with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett to get targets. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, you're the second or third option, in that offense, and it's an offense that doesn't throw a lot, so you have less opportunities. There's only so many footballs that can go around, so I just completely kind of write that off. You got the next three that I'll say is Chargers, Packers, and Patriots. They're the next ones that are kind of higher on the salary cap
about
line.
The Seattle Seahawks, quick though, too, I would just mention, too, again, the only way they've been able to achieve anything for the passing game has been exploiting opportunities on the big deep ball, so they've been getting chunk yards. So I think the one thing that would be great for them is get Odell on the inside from some slants, maybe on the slot, and get some of those smaller, quicker in the yards after catch for them. That would help out, I think, just to have that other extra ability.
Right, but you're going to still run into that problem where all of the other mouths got to be fed too. You got DK and Tyler. So
by the way, we got Matt Marinovich in the house with us tonight.
What's going on, Matt? Welcome to the show.
There's a Raider fan right there. And OBJ wants to go to the Packers and destroy the last season for A.A. Rod. There you go. Who knows, man? You never know.
It's possible. So
you played yourself.
So we're talking about, so Chargers are an option.
Mm-hmm.
They're a team that's on the rise, and they're competing for this division in the AFC West. They have $10 million in cap space, so they're right there too. But then again, you also think about it, like we just mentioned about Seattle. They have Keenan Allen. They have up-and-coming Mike Williams. So is it really a necessity
yes,
to bring Odell into that locker room to try to and work with a young quarterback like Herbert? Maybe not. So maybe that's not even a good fit for him. And the Packers, to me, is like the number one best fit for him overall. You got a great veteran presence at quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, one of the best to do it. You also have Devontae Adams on one side, and then if you manage to put Odell on the other side, pick your poison. Defenses, pick your poison, really, because you got to contend with two of the best receivers, especially Odell when he's healthy, in the game. You got to contend with both of them now. So that splits the field. That's going to open up everything. The passing game, the running game with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. The possibilities are endless if he goes to Green Bay. And to me, that's the number one spot for Odell. It's the one that makes the most sense. After that, people have mentioned the Patriots. And this is kind of where I'm like, listen, everyone's going to spin it a certain way with the Patriots and be like, oh, well, they've had, problem type of players in there before, but not to Odell's stature. People will say, oh, well, they've had Randy Moss, they've had Josh Gordon. Those are a little bit different. They're not. Randy Moss was later in his years. He was a little bit more mature than when he got to the Patriots, so he kind of fell in line. Josh Gordon was just a flat-out pothead who just couldn't stop smoking, and he kept getting suspended all the time. So he really wasn't a problem, like, off the field type of deal. So Odell brings that big-time ego. It's got to be me. You know what I mean? He's trying to pad his stats. You got a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones. It might not be the smartest idea to bring him in because he's even influenced Baker Mayfield, and kind of has ruined. I'm not going to say ruined Baker Mayfield as a quarterback, but kind of like disturbed that offense in that locker room to a point where they weren't running as well.
Right, and a guy that's openly criticized quarterbacks, even Eli Manning for everything that Eli Manning and the Giants, when they played together, had done for Odell and what he's actually been able to perform for them. For him to be vocal about quarterbacks and things like that and how they do, I mean, that wouldn't be good for Mac Jones as well. And just to bring up what he did here, let's take a look at Odell Beckham Jr. with the Giants. He played for them for 5 years, had 390 receptions, 5,476 yards, and 44 touchdowns, 3 times on the Pro Bowl too as well. So that was his best productivity here for him. And then since he went to Cleveland, it was just a different story.
Right, absolutely. And that's the thing too, and that's why, going back to the Patriots discussion, they got $4.4 million. They could easily afford him, but we just don't think that's a good fit. Now there's a few other teams that are kind of in that interest bubble, if you will. I consider them dark horse teams that are kind of out of that limelight as of right now, but could easily sign him. Those are teams including the Chiefs. We've heard them kind of being thrown around. We've also heard the Saints being thrown in there, which neither one I feel is a good fit because, okay, you go to the Chiefs, you got Tyreek Hill to contend with, you got Travis Kelce. Those are the two clear favorites. And now you add Odell. That doesn't mean he can't be, get a slice of the pie, but he's not going to get the whole pie. And that's really what he's going to be geared for. The Bills.
But no one's quick on the Chiefs. I just want to bring up the fact again, and you hear that Chiefs are interested. I hate it when teams kind of do this, and it seems like the Chiefs have been doing it a lot lately. They have problems, can't get the offense going. So it seems like whatever quick free agent is out there, this will help fix the problem. The problem is within the offensive line. And they're getting pressured, and then they can't run the ball right now. It seems like they're going all pass and trying to get Patrick Mahomes to do everything. I think adding Odell Beckham Jr. just makes no sense.
I'll go one more with that. The Chiefs, their problem is they don't run the ball. It's that simple. Andy Reid has gotten completely away from what was working last year, and that was mixing it up between the run and the pass, and that's what made them deadly. Now it seems like they're just going pass happy, trying to get those big chunks of yards right away, those big-time scores right away, instead of just kind of changing the pace of the game, mix it up between the run and the pass, and execute that way. So
it's getting bad enough that even other people are noticing this that kind of liked them before. They're like, all right, you're getting all this motion, this guy's circling around and all this other crap, and you're doing all this crazy.
And it ends up being a screen and you
end
get
up
tackled.
doing nothing. It's all for show and flash and do it, and you don't even do anything.
No.
It's like, show us something. That guy never comes in. That guy never gets the ball when he's moving around and doing all their crap. And then you never, like you said, run the ball. You become really one-dimensional, and that's when people just pin their ears back and go after Patrick Mahomes. So now when he's shown that he's getting pressured and he feels like he has to be the one to make everything happen, that's when he's making those dumb mistakes.
And that's the thing is it's Patrick Mahomes' worst enemy, his own worst enemy, because he is so focused, and it's been said this past week in practice and everything with the Chiefs is that, do you feel like they were asking Andy Reid, do you feel like Mahomes is putting too much emphasis on those big plays those big chunk plays down the field? And he was like, yeah. I mean, that's the bottom line is he's trying too hard to make those big plays happen all the time. You got to let it happen. Let it come to you. And until he changes his focal point, his decision making going forward, this Chiefs offense looks like it's still going to continue to struggle.
That is one big pile of shit.
And just going real quick back to my dark horse teams here is the Bills. The Bills are a team that have money. They have $3.5 million. They're not a team no one's really talking about. And this is a team that is in competition of not only winning the division in the AFC East, but also we're pretty sure they're going to make the playoffs. And you team him with Stephon Diggs, and I know Gabe Davis is kind of the starter opposite him, but let's be honest. You bring Odell to that team, now you got Diggs and Odell. You got Cole Beasley. But again, this is also kind of – I'm just trying to think outside the box a little bit here than some of the other reporters out there. But it's not something that can't happen. It seems like everyone's locked in on 3 teams. You know what I mean right now? And I think you got to broaden it out a little bit more because there's got to be more interest than just those 3 teams. What's to say the Bills can't be involved? You know what I mean? It's possible. But then again, like what I was saying before about Seattle and the Chargers, well, they already got Diggs as their number 1 guy technically, and they got Cole Beasley who they like, so maybe they might not go after him. The Rams, they've kind of been thrown in just late into that interest bubble there. They got $3.1 million. They could easily do it, but they just got rid of Deshaun Jackson. And you look at that receiving core: Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. Van Jefferson is now starting to come on. Why would you really bring in an Odell who's not going to get all those targets that he is seeking? And then you got the Colts, which I feel like are the farthest from the bunch. But again, they're a team that needs receiver.
Yeah.
And they could swing it. They got $2.4 million. They could swing it and get him in there, and he would be the number 1 guy, along with Michael Pittman Jr. Maybe he can learn some little tricks of the trade, but under Odell, and maybe they can kind of get back into this division race that way a little faster. And then, to me, the number 2 team that I feel is second behind the Packers that would be the best fit. It's just the best fit. Not saying that Odell has interest or the interest is mutual, but the Raiders. You got Derek Carr, quarterback. Who else is the number 1 there? The Raiders don't have a number 1 anymore. Now that Ruggs is gone, they don't have that explosive playmaker. So he could come to Vegas. Carr will definitely use him like crazy. And you got a team that's more balanced now. So they're going to throw the ball. He's going to get his stats that way and everything. And the other aspect that nobody is bringing up is the business side. Whatever contract he signs, whether it be like $1 million, $2 million for the rest of the year, taxes. You know what I mean? Taxes get taken out of your contract. If you go to the Packers, they're taking taxes out of that. Whatever deal you agree on, $1 million. I think that's what's being reported right now is they offered him a league veteran minimum, which is about $1 million for him. And then you tax that and whatever. But if you go to Vegas and they pay you the same thing, $1 million, you're not getting taxed. You're getting all that money. So that could also be another, option that his agent and Odell's thinking about too. But, I mean, if I'm Odell personally, as much as I love my Raiders and I know we need Odell, I think the number 1 option for him is the Packers. And then if the Raiders do have interest, it would be the Raiders number 2. But who knows, right? We just like you mentioned before, Jim, like there's been teams before where they were in the race for a free agent, and out of the blue, here comes the Detroit Lions signing him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We remember having the debate when Tom Brady was a free agent, and then we were hearing like, oh, he would fit nicely here. This would go there, and we're hearing this, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, again, it seemed like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then there it is. It happens. It's like, whoa. what happened there? And you hear about it a lot, and that's why I had brought it up to somebody else because I had said maybe the Chargers, because, again, I look at the money that they have. I look at how deadly that offense could be if they add them, and so it'd be nice for them. But then I was saying again, but you're going to see one of those teams that always is like trying to better their offense, even though you think they're pretty decent here, that's going to jump in. Sean Payton with the Saints, he's, a mastermind. He would love a guy like that and have Odell there. He's had guys with big egos over there in New Orleans and be able to make it work for them. But again, the deciding factor here is really because of Odell Beckham Jr. And let's take a look back quick at what he did. Even we looked at the Giants here, and this is where he's been with the Browns here for 3 years. He had on 114 receptions, only 1,586 yards and 7 touchdowns. So his games played has been very low. And then also production, he had one 1,000-yard season with the Browns, and then nothing remotely close since. And so that's why people are offering such a little amount. That's why a lot of these other teams are in the conversation still. Because normally, if he was just all of a sudden he became a free agent, he was still that 1,000-yard receiver, these guys wouldn't even be talking about half these other teams here. They wouldn't be in the notion because they didn't have the money to make it work. But so when it's at this low, he's got to be on a prove-it deal, and then bonuses tacked on for being able to perform certain things, get this list here. But when it comes down to it, it's his choice. And that's the thing that is, I think, the X factor in this whole thing. It's not like trying to make a trade doing this. Right. He's going to go what fits best for him.
He's a free agent.
When you talk about having quarterbacks like the Colts, he's like I said, he said stuff about Eli Manning. He's definitely going to say stuff about Carson Wentz. He said stuff about the Cleveland Browns and them. He's going to have issues with some of these other guys. Trevor Siemian, if it's not Taysom Hill or whoever, maybe Jameis Winston comes back with the Saints. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about that. Trevor Siemian. I like to call him Seaman. But here's the thing. He's a third-string quarterback. Now, I would say Saints would be right up there in the conversation, like top 3 teams, if Winston was still healthy. You know what I mean? Because then you have a quarterback that could still get him the football. But now you've got a third-string quarterback that you're trying to win games with. And to be honest, that Saints offense is no longer a pass-happy offense anymore. They've had to transition from Drew Brees to go with Winston to make it more balanced. And now you're going to your third-string quarterback, and teams are going to key up on your run game. They're going to key up on Alvin Kamara if they're smart and try to shut him down or at least slow him down and make Trevor throw the football. But that's always not a good idea for success for the Saints. You know what I mean? They become one-dimensional then. So that's when I feel like with Taysom Hill starting to get healthier, maybe he can add some wrinkles like Sean Payton loves to utilize him in the run game, pass game, all that type of deal. So, but to me, I think the Saints are kind of like on the outside looking in at this point. Logic just points to the direction of the Packers. It just makes all the sense in the world. They're definitely a playoff caliber team. Most likely they're going to make the playoffs unless something catastrophic changes everything. And that's got to be the favorite right now. It has to be. After that, if all these teams on this list are all interested, second would have to be the Raiders, logically, and then after that, it could, who knows? It could be the Chargers. It could be anybody at that point.
Yeah, I mean, but at this point, like you said, the best logical, again, when you bring up Aaron Rodgers and then the Packers and where they are positioned even in that division, which really doesn't look very good, I would say, just because even the Lions are who they are. They can't even get a win here. They're in the growing pains of trying to restart. The Vikings are really up and down team. You're not really feeling it there. And then the Chicago Bears just looming with issues here and there and trying to get through the bumps and bruises of having a new quarterback as well, too. So I think it's open right there for them to just take it.
Chicago? No,
not to Chicago. I'm saying for the Packers just to take the division. Absolutely.
Oh, they're gonna no problem. They're gonna take it, no problem.
Yeah.
listen, Chicago, what we're witnessing with them is Matt Nagy, it's time for him to go. We've known this for a couple seasons already. And Bears fans might just agree with us on this. It's time for a change. It's time for a coaching change. You've given this guy ample opportunity to be the guy and the coach for them, and he's failed every single season. No matter what weapons he has, no matter what quarterback he has, it just doesn't amount to wins. So hopefully this will be the last time we see Nagy in a Chicago visor. and Justin Fields has a bright future ahead of him. We've seen flashes of the exciting play that he has to offer, and maybe after they kind of retool this offensive line, maybe get a little bit more better in protection for him and add a different weapon, because Allen Robinson is going after this year. He's not going to be able to be tagged. He's going to be looking for another home. They got a little bit of rebuilding to do, to say the least.
Absolutely. So, yeah, a lot going on with the NFL. And, again, OBJ, things going on with him, too, as well. This point, I want to take a time to let you guys know that we are sponsored by Colorize out there. That's right, Colorize. You can find them in 3 locations here in upstate New York.
What are
Queensbury, Niskayuna, and Clifton Park. That's right, Colorize, the paint professionals. They are a Benjamin Moore dealer, but that's not just it. They cover all kinds of PPG and other types of paint out there. Whatever you can do, from the professional out there to the do-it-yourselfer, just go down there to Colorize. Talk to my buddy Link out there, and he'll hook you up with any kind of questions you have, whatever, to help you out. They are the paint professionals. That's right. Check them out on mycolorize.com.
Yeah, the Colorize staff, they're amazing people. And listen, you guys can get custom paints there. Like, they'll hook you up. So make sure if you for all your painting needs, check them out.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a time and look at the playoff picture here, Joe. I mean, we like to do this here. The analysts also like to do this too. Let's look at the season ended today. Because we're about that halfway point. We're at just about week 10 right now.
Right.
So let's take a look at now the AFC and the playoff picture. If the season ended today, this is what it would be looking like right here. So we've got the Tennessee Titans here at the number 1 seed with the Ravens, the Chargers, the Bills, the Vikings, the Raiders, the Steelers, and then the Patriots right there making the playoffs right now. I mean, that is pretty amazing stuff here for them. And then peeking on the outside, looking in, there's the Chiefs over there, Joe. They're peeking. They're looking over there.
The Browns.
The Browns right there. And the Bengals still in the talks here on that bubble.
You know what?
They've failed the last couple of weeks here, and they could have been in that other realm in the hunt still.
What's crazy about this right now, if the season ended today, the AFC North, just about every team in the AFC North is in the playoffs.
Right, representing, right? Yeah, it's that close. It's crazy because, again, they're just a tough division. They play each other tough, and then they have their ups and their downs. They get some good wins, but then some losses where you're scratching your head, The Steelers this past week against Chicago, they barely came out of that game with a win.
Yeah, I know it, right? The NFL is so unpredictable. I mean, if this past Sunday doesn't show you that, nothing will. I mean, Bills lost. That should have been a shoo-in win. Tennessee beating the Rams. I mean, there's so many different things that occurred this past week that kind of threw everybody off, and especially like for all you bettors out there, all the guys that like to bet on the NFL team stuff. Man, I feel bad for you because there was a lot of tickets that were wrong this past Sunday.
Oh yeah, Mike Tackett, like he said, even too. He had his worst week. It was tough. 8-6. You and I were on the other side of that. We were 8. He was 6-8. We were 8-6. So we had 2 more wins than he did. But that was one of our worst weeks. Like we've been on a roll. This year, doing really well. Yep. But taking a look at the playoff picture, and we're looking at the Titans here. Let's take a look at it again one more time. A lot of questions still. Right now, the Titans look the strongest because even that defense is starting to come around, at least on the front end. You're getting rid of that pass rush. I mean, Simmons, look at that, had 3 sacks right in the early part of that game.
Yeah,
just
Jeffrey
really
Simmons.
Pressing that offensive line. The Ravens still standing true, even though a few head-scratching losses. They've been one of those teams, for me, that I think is really building that playoff type of strength and that atmosphere because they've been in a lot of tight games, but they found ways to fight through it and get that win.
But the problem with the Ravens right now is their defense. Their defense just isn't doing anything. I mean, they're having a hard time stopping opponents from scoring, and it honestly has been just the Ravens' offense that's been successful. Ravens' defense is struggling big time, and if that continues going forward, they might not be in the hunt very long. I mean, this is a very competitive.
Like you said, that North was
it's a
tough.
very competitive division, and who knows? I mean, if they slide at all, I mean, they could be easily knocked out of contention.
Absolutely. And now that the Cleveland Browns, they're on the bubble on the outside looking in, they still have a close enough record they can switch right up here, and they've showed that they play better without Odell Beckham Jr. there too. So maybe they can use that as a jump off point too, and really build some camaraderie here and move forward. But the Bills again, they had that head scratcher here. It seems like they were off to an early start and dominating teams. Remember, they were putting up 40-something points on teams and this and that. But as of late, some of these other ones, they've kind of let these other teams that are really not even in their realm, I guess I would say, let them get something on them. I mean, for the Jaguars to do something like that to them, now people are watching them here against the Jets, and they're like, that they have this week, and they're like, I don't know, you've got Mike White in there now. That guy put up 400 yards, but now he's healthy. Check this out. And then, then maybe this is another, sleeper game here, and the Bills, it's a tight divisional opponent here. The Jets maybe they can sneak out a win. I, again, don't really think it's going to happen. They should be able to bounce back after that one. But, again, when you don't show up like that, you got to be prepared every week, even for those lower teams, because any Sunday, especially this season, it showed that you can lose.
Yeah, anything. Hey, that's why they say any given Sunday. Any team can lose, no matter how good you are or how bad you are. You can beat. You can upset another team. So, and as we get closer to that, that playoff race where teams are going to need a game or two, down the stretch just to cement their status in the playoffs or cement the division or something like that. Other teams that are out of it can play spoiler. And if they beat them, maybe they knock them out of the playoffs and stuff. And you're going to see that in the AFC North. I mean, as of right now, we're halfway through it, and all four teams in that division are in contention for the playoffs. Someone's getting knocked out. Maybe two teams are getting knocked out. So that's going to be interesting, as the season keeps continuing.
Yeah. I mean, again, the defense played great in that game, but then you got to get that offense going, especially with the weapons that you had here in that running game. I think they need to get more balanced. The Chargers, again, they're a team there, right? So they're at the third seed still, which even it kind of surprises me in a sense, because it seemed like the last couple of weeks they were that hot team, but then they've had these stumbles, and that's what is questioning, I think, about these particular teams in this in the AFC. A lot of these teams here towards the top stumble and fumble a little bit. So when you're kind of got those question marks looming, like the Raiders just stumbled a little bit here with the Giants, where they should have pretty much went into New York and been able to come out with that win, but they were one of the top. They're leading their division still. I mean, they're there. Well, now tied with the Chargers now, right? Yep. They got probably tied with the Chargers, so they're there still. But those games you have to be able to win, because when you face those other teams and the stronger teams, that one, say it's a tough division. Say it's tied here with the Chargers here, and the Chargers beat the Giants when they play them. Then that's your tiebreaker or whatever. I'm like, they weren't able to put that one away, and that could be the decider whether you're home or not.
Yeah, it could be the decider if you're home or not. But also, the other side of the coin too is you win your division, and right now the Raiders are winning their division. They are beating their opponents in the AFC that they need to beat. They're 4-1, I think, in the AFC. So they're doing what they need to do, and that's really what you have to do. Is you got to win your conference. You got to win the games in your division. You do that, everything else takes care of itself.
Yeah, and then you've got the Steelers right there again, somehow still finding their way to get in here into that playoff picture right now. I still, you know what? I still like the whole I didn't like the pick when they went and got Najee Harris, and I know he's playing well and he does what he does.
Of course.
It's worked, but they needed to really fix the offensive line. But I think even as the last couple of weeks, that line's kind of gotten a little better, but not really as much, because still Ben Roethlisberger's still taking some of those bigger hits, and he's not able to get out and make some of those shrug off some of those sacks. But still being able to get some of these wins here and move forward. But I think eventually, as the season moves on, you're going to see them probably show their cards of who they really are, and then take a step down and bump out of this playoff picture. And
it could easily happen because, listen, they're not a dominating offense like they used to be. Big Ben used to be, they used to. Don't get me wrong.
They were the killer bees and everything when they had everybody together.
Run the ball a lot. You know what I mean? And that's what set up these big chunk plays that they used to attack down the field. With the likes of Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster, and that's that's the last time they were an explosive offense. Now it's going through a little bit of a change. They got Chase Claypool. They still got Juju for one more year, and they're running a lot more than they ever have because they're trying to protect Big Ben. And he's getting beat up. He's getting beat up this season, and if he doesn't retire after this year, the dude might be retiring in a walking chair. You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? A handicap chair. Like, the guy is so hurt that they're just trying to hope that he can last the rest of the season. We've already seen him, get nicked up and miss a game already. Now, if the Steelers are ever down at all in any game, they're in trouble because then the defenses pin their ears back and they're coming after Big Ben. We've seen it when the Raiders faced the Steelers in week 2, where they got a lead and then all of a sudden the Steelers had to try to play catch up. So then they started to throw the ball, and that just left Big Ben exposed, and they were hammering Big Ben almost on every play. He didn't look too well. So the Steelers, I feel the same way. I think unless they are able to offensively put up points and stay ahead of teams, they're going to struggle to stay in games. And down the stretch, it's going to cost them some wins, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about the Patriots, that's what I mean. I think they're going to be there when it's all said and done at the end of this thing too, just because, again, the way Bill Belichick he game plans for teams, and now he's got the quarterback that he wanted, I think, for this offense. And he's starting to get better week to week, and these guys are gelling, and that's a scary thing for some of these other teams here in the AFC.
Here's the thing about the Patriots, though. Mac Jones hasn't been asked to do a whole lot. I mean, they've been running a lot. They've been running the ball very well. They've been dumping the ball off on screens and so forth and getting the ball out of his hands. But if you look at his stat lines, they're not super impressive.
Super duper, no, yeah.
So when they meet up against really tough defenses where they're going to stop your run game, they're going to stop your little screens, now it's all on you, Mac. Now you have to deliver, and you got to get rid of the ball and get it down the field and start moving the ball down the field with this offense by you just throwing the ball. No more running, no more little screens, no more trick plays like that, no more high percentage throws. Now you got to make it happen. I'm not saying he can't make it happen, but I'm saying it'll be a different challenge for him going forward. And that might hurt the Patriots trying to not only make the playoffs, but also if they do make the playoffs, getting any farther than the first round.
And then there again, let's look at the bubble quick. We've got the Chiefs there to where they still don't look good offensively. They should have, if like Joe just said earlier, if Aaron Rodgers was in that game, they're definitely getting killed in that game.
Toast.
They're not going to be able to do it. That defense is bad, but now that offense, which we knew this about them the past couple of years, that this defense was giving up the plays, and that offense was able to turn it on quick enough to get back into the game and win. Even in the Super Bowl that they were playing in, that they won. With the 49ers, the 49ers was taking to them 90% of that game until they were able to finally get it going and then get that offense to score enough points because they had such a powerful amount of weapons to get it going in that offensive line. Now they don't have that offensive line, and he's getting that pressure, and now that offense can't bounce back off of that, and now you're seeing what you have here.
And going to this Packer game and Chiefs game that they played, I feel like the Packers didn't have a good game plan going in against this Chiefs defense because you have a young quarterback in Jordan Love, right? So you can't ask too much of them. But what were the Chiefs doing that they changed up? They were blitzing a heck of a lot more. They were blitzing Tyrann Mathieu, the safety. They were bringing him in the box. They were sending him on blitzes. And what do you do to combat that? You do screens. You do little dump-off to the running back out of the backfield. You do stuff like that. And all of a sudden, those blitzes would have stopped because with Aaron Jones, I mean, in the open field, are you kidding me? And you just have to get rid of the ball right over the line. You could have killed the Chiefs defense, but I didn't see any of the adjustments happening, and that's kind of why they kept struggling. So that's one thing that the Chiefs changed up on defense is they started sending more people. They started blitzing. And I get it. It was against a younger quarterback, of course, to try to mess him up and everything, and it worked. But the Chiefs, listen, especially Chiefs fans, if you're thrilled about that win against the Packers, you shouldn't be. I mean, in the first half, you only scored 13 points. And you had the ball a lot.
Right.
So I just feel like the Chiefs are still in that mid-tier type of team right now. They still haven't figured out. Well, I feel like they know what they got to do. They're just not executing like they were last season. And until that happens, we're going to continue to see them struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes down to the Bengals again, they've got the firepower to be able to do it here. Again, I just haven't seen it the last couple weeks. I don't know why.
Yeah,
what happened to doing that? I mean, Joe Mixon was having his best season, I think, ever. It looked like again, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow were on the same page, and now there's mistakes, interceptions.
T.
Higgins,
my goodness. Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
You got weapons. Utilize them. C.J. Uzoma.
And how do you not get amped up for that divisional game right there? Get amped up
That's
to try and take these guys out.
Every divisional game is huge. And they just didn't deliver. I don't know what it was with Joe Mixon. It's like they went away from running the ball with Joe Mixon. And that's actually what's going to help this offense. Joe Mixon is a great running back. Utilize
Absolutely.
him.
Yeah. Finally looks like it's going to happen for him, but who knows? And I think if I'd say this even now, if the Cincinnati Bengals end up fumbling and stumbling and looked like they did here, but then missed the playoffs, I think the hot seat question is back up on Zach Taylor.
I don't think so. I really don't. Zach Taylor has only been there a short time, and now that they have Joe Burrow and they've been working with him the past couple of years. Listen, last season he missed the whole year, so his rookie year was kind of like a bust because of injury. This year's his first full year so far. If he can stay healthy the rest of the way, I still think that's going to give Zach Taylor a little bit longer of a term to kind of turn this thing around, because you're seeing glimpses of what this offense can be. You're seeing glimpses of what this team can be, especially on defense. Seems like they're starting to get a little bit better on defense, offense as well, and the more chemistry that's built up with this team going into the stretch of the rest of the season, not to mention next offseason, they're able to add more weapons to this organization. This team could be a big-time threat next year. We thought that they were going to – listen, they are competitive, but they just haven't been running on all cylinders every single week. And I feel like if you give them another year and see what happens, if they still spit and sputter next year, then you could bring up the whole Zach Taylor conversation about being on the hot seat. But I would give him one more year to prove what he can do.
All right. Yeah, so that's the AFC playoff picture right now. If it ended up today, let me tell you about my friends here now at Mohawk Honda.
Tell me about Mohawk
Honda.
Honda.
I love Mohawk Honda. I drive by them every day just about on my way to work, and they're up there in Scotia Glenville on Freemansbridge Road, and now's the time to go trade in your car. Let me tell you, they're going to give you top dollar. The Kelley Blue Book offer right now. They will give you money on the spot right there. Write you a check, and the top dollar, what you want. But if you don't want the cash there too, you want to say, hey, I want to trade this in. I just want a newer ride. I love my car here, even if it's a pre-owned Honda. Like, I love this thing, but I want maybe something else. I want to get into a Ridgeline. I want to get into this and that. A Pilot, they got the Pilots down there. Talk to my guys down there. They're going to take care of you. You got Hot Sauce down there. You got the VIP man. You got Cam McKenna down here, who actually watches our show too. He's Instacam out there, so check out him. He's there. So talk to him, and you go to their facility too. By the way, it's top of the line. It's top notch, dude. It's clean. It's got stuff for the kids to play around. It's got nice bakery, hot coffee, everything, amenities, everything to do to take care of you there, Joe. And the inventory, like I said. So you go there, trade in your car, put you in the ride that you really want and the one that you deserve for yourself. And that's Mohawk Honda right there. So Freeman's Ridge Road, MohawkHonda.com, where they go out of their way to please you, Joe. That's right. And just
it's the number one
Yeah,
spot to go for inventory. You guys need anything? They got stacked with vehicles.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, absolutely. And so now let's take a look at the playoff picture here for the NFC here, Joe.
Wait. Before we get there.
What? Oh, I already hit the pick. What do you
It's
want?
okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. We're all right. But real quick, I just want to say thank you to everybody out there for the support. Thank you guys. Thank all you know-it-alls out there. And if you aren't a know-it-all just yet, guess what? We got more room. We got plenty of room. If you got any friends, family members that love to talk football, that love football talk shows, make sure you send them our way. You can go and search us up on Facebook or YouTube, Football on the No Show. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube and the notification bell when we go live. You can also follow us on Twitter at FB_no. And thank you guys all for the support on podcasts. That's right, iTunes, whatever the podcasts.
Spotify.
Whatever Spotify, whatever you follow your favorite podcasts on, we are there. Make sure you hit the follow button, share. And if you want to be a little bit more interactive with our channel, head over to YouTube. Drop some comments below, questions, comments. If you want to do a little bit of a rant, we're here also as therapists as well.
That's right.
But
I like to rant too.
Thanks for all the support, guys, and make sure you tune in every week.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at the NFC playoff picture here now. If this season ended today, so in the hunt right now, we've got the Cardinals, who only have one loss right now.
Boom.
And that's even having their backup.
We called it.
Colt McCoy making it happen, right? Oh, we've got another guy in the house. There he is.
There he is.
Bob Money is in the house with
Bob
us
Money.
tonight.
What's up, Bob? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, and I know who he's talking about here. Does Kyle deserve to get fired? What do you think about that, Joe? Me, I'm not a big. He knows. Maybe some other people do, but I'm not a big Kyle Shanahan fan. Yeah. Like, I understand what he does, and I can see that. But I'm on the whole thing that I think a lot of people paint the narrative that he's this crazy kid genius, blah, 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 blah. And I don't think anybody's bigger than what they really are. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's decent as a coach. I think the players will like him.
Yep.
And I like what he tries to do here. But I don't think he's, a savant about anything like the best about this and that. That being said, I don't really still even think that he deserves to be fired with what's going on with the 49ers.
No, I mean, I disagree with him being fired as well. I mean, here's the thing is, like, I feel like he has a creative offense. I feel like he calls a good game. He has a good game plan every single week. He's a good coach. Players like him. He seems to know all the X's and O's that he needs. And honestly, he's one of the better decision makers. He usually doesn't get too enthralled in his own emotions before he makes a decision or whatnot. So I feel like he's coaching the team very well. I feel like this team would be in a better position had he had his whole offense healthy all the time. Listen, we already knew this was going to happen with Jimmy G. Injured again this season. Missed some time. Now he's back. That's the whole reason why they had to look for a replacement, soon to be Trey Lance, and a guy that kind of fits Kyle Shanahan's offense to a T. A guy that can do dual. He'd be that dual threat to run the ball, to do some RPOs, to run this offense going forward. That's where you're going to see a big difference is next year when Trey Lance takes over this team, like it's definitely his. You're going to see this offense transform into a better offense that's going to put a lot more points on the board for sure. And that's going to, in turn, help this defense. We know this defense and their defensive talent, is way better than what they're showing right now. But they're on the field so often and for so many snaps that they're getting tired down the stretch. They're just on the field way too much. So I do think Kyle Shanahan deserves to stay. And let's see what he can do with this new quarterback in Trey Lance next year. And I feel like this team will be better for it.
All right, Bob Money says, yeah, but he's not good at evaluating talent. He wanted Kirk over Mahomes in 2017 draft.
Okay, but he's not a scout. He's a head coach. Yeah. And even if he wanted Kirk over Mahomes, he's not the GM. So it's a head coach. Listen, head coaches, assistant coaches, they all get in a room before the draft, and they all discuss players up and down the roster. However, in the draft. However, when it comes to draft day, it's the GM and the head coach in the room. Yeah, there's some other guys usually in the war room or whatever, but in recent drafts that we've had to deal with COVID, where there was a lot of FaceTiming, there wasn't a whole lot of guys in a room and they had to call each other and this, that, and the other thing. It made it difficult for every team to draft. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that had to play a part recently in drafts.
Recently, but not 2017.
But I'm just saying,
right?
Like, so that's the thing is Kyle Shanahan doesn't make the picks. Mm-hmm. So if you want to blame somebody like, oh well, he wanted this guy, it doesn't necessarily mean he gets always the guy that he wants. It's something that he puts in for, says, okay, I really like this guy, we should probably get him. But if the GM who's in control of that doesn't really like that player, then it's a war between head coach and it goes up to the owner to make the final say.
Right, and I mean it's easier to look at it too, back knowing what what Mahomes was doing too. As opposed to, because even when he got drafted by the Chiefs kind of were like, people didn't even expect that so much, and people didn't think Mahomes was going to be a Hall of Famer then either. And how does he look really right now? So, I mean, you could see, if this ends up keeping up with the Chiefs, you could see his career take a drastic turn right now, because how many players have we seen start off pretty strong and then end up being not even a Hall of Famer? Look at Odell Beckham Jr. He's had multiple years over 1,000 yards. Like I said, the first couple 5 seasons here with the Giants, multiple years for over 1,000 yards and stuff. The last couple for the Browns has been nothing.
But that's been due to injury.
Right, I know. But still, when people look back at him, would they say he's a Hall of Famer? We're not sure. I mean, it'd be debatable. But I'm just saying, and when you're trying to think of, talent-wise, and you see Kirk Cousins too, like you're talking about here too, as well as he was a hot commodity. What he was being able to do with the Washington football team, then the Redskins, and that's why I think Kyle Shanahan knew him. He just knew, I trust in this guy. I've had experience with him. I can really use him here, and I think he could run my offense. Right. So familiarity, he's a nice fit for me. And the Minnesota Vikings thought the same exact thing. Did they know that they were going to get something worse than what Case Keenum has been doing for them? They haven't been to that same position since they had Case Keenum. Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to have your crystal ball in front of you and say this is this after you've already known or seen what's going on. And I think a lot of times the evaluations are off. I think sometimes too, like in defense of Kyle Shanahan, like I said, I'm not a big super fan on him. I think this past weekend, a lot of the players really let Jimmy G down and things like that. A lot of drop passes and stuff like that. And that's not the coach doing that. You know what I mean? We've seen the athleticism of some of these guys, people hurtling and making plays. We've seen Brandon Ayuk do stuff. He hasn't been able to do anything until this past weekend. But again, players just not playing well. How many times have we seen, we hear about it, especially over here in New York, Bob Money, we're a lot of Giants fans, and out here, we hear about them and, we teach discipline and this and blah, blah, and continually the Giants shoot themselves in the foot, making mistakes, dumb boneheaded mistakes. That you fake a disciplined team by a coach that teaches discipline should be able to do, but in the end, players, you got to not do it. It's on them too. They got to not make the mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
What does Bob Money say here?
He says a lot here. He said John Lynch is a figurehead. This is the same man that trades up DeForest Buckner's for a first-round pick in Javon Kinlaw. Already his knee surgery, John Lynch takes to blame. Takes blame. Well, the Chiefs messed up by paying Patrick Mahomes early when they should have let the rookie contract play out. And that could be a problem too as well. And that's what they saw. I think what a lot of people did when you saw the multiple years of success, they were like, we've got the man right here. Let's lock him up long term. And if we spread out the money and restructure it this way, we can have him forever, and we don't have to worry about him going anywhere else.
Right.
But again, you didn't really get to see those times, the tough times that a lot of these other teams, when they don't have a lot of talent, deal with. We see some of these other players that are touted to be a high, value quarterback, like say Trevor Lawrence even right now, not playing so well and stuff like that, but he's on a bad team. He's having his bumps and bruises and his woes and his ups and downs, trying to get it through. But if you see him start to develop and how he makes it through those tough times, he could potentially be your star. You've seen stars that are not that well, that have been on a bad team, don't have the development, don't have the coaching to help them, don't have the right type of franchise. That's not a good atmosphere altogether.
Yeah.
So that all matters too as well in a quarterback's development too. And like you said too, right now we could look at the Chiefs. Let's look at them in another 3 years, and when we can look back and evaluate that draft.
Do we really want to see them
say,
in the next 3 years?
What's going to happen with these guys? You know, he could be retired by then.
Well, I'll tell you right now.
Reid.
What Bob says is he goes, they messed up and they signed him up real early. Not necessarily, because what they thought they had what everybody was jumping on the bandwagon and saying he's the best in football now. He's the modern day next greatest quarterback there's going to be, and everyone's like, oh, he's amazing. He's amazing. Well, he does no look passes and stuff. They're really not no look, but. And he's got all these crazy accolades, all these crazy stats. He's won a Super Bowl, or you know what I mean, as a young man at 24 years old. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, let's lock him up. There was also another added piece of information that a lot of people missed is a lot of these quarterback contracts that keep going up. Keep going up. You look at Aaron Rodgers with his $40 million. Russell Wilson was the next one. And that's what the Chiefs were thinking about, is if they waited for his rookie deal to end, and by the time that ended and they were going to renegotiate, it could have exceeded $50 million a year.
Right.
So the Chiefs were also thinking about that. He's super young. Let's try to get the deal done now for super long term, like a 10. I forgot what the final terms were. Like, was it a 10-year deal or something like that?
Yeah.
But to be honest, going forward now, they have him signed for pretty cheap compared to what it could end up being for other quarterbacks.
Especially he went back and restructured even to try and make room to keep some of those guys around too as well. Travis Kelce did the same thing as well. And that's
the problem is right now they have him for 10 years, but what kind of a team are they going to have around him by then? Mm-hmm. Tyreek Hill, after 2023 is his last year. Mm-hmm. He's going to command big-time money. Tyrann Mathieu, he's going to look to re-sign. I mean, there's a lot of big-time components on this Chiefs team that are all going to be looking for big-time contracts, and I don't feel the Chiefs are going to have the money to re-sign these guys. Listen, they already re-signed Travis Kelce, so he's locked up for a few more years. But he's 31, 32, something like that already?
Like that, yeah.
So, I mean, he's not going to last forever. This team is going to go through a big transition that people aren't prepared for right now. And I just want to, real quick, I'm sorry about it. I had to get back to your John Lynch comment. He's a figurehead, but listen, they hired him as a GM. He may be a figurehead, so to speak, but he's also wheeling and dealing, and he's a really aggressive GM. I'll give him that. He's not afraid to make a deal and get a guy. They thought with that trade, when they traded DeForest Buckner away, they probably didn't want to try to re-sign him and make with big-time dollars. So instead, they saved some money. They got a first-round draft pick, and in exchange, they drafted his so-called replacement. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sucks that right now he's done and out for what looks like the year with that knee injury. But who knows? Maybe it'll pan out for him. I don't think he's definitely not DeForest Buckner right now.
Right.
But I feel like he has talent. He could develop to be something special down the road. But we have to wait and see how that all shakes out.
Right, and you talk about injuries, too. They always face the injuries. Mike McGlinchey now is out, too. I mean, that's one of their big tackles like for that offensive line.
That's a big loss.
We saw back and forth between Trey Lance and Jimmy G back and forth, and we saw that happen last season. Mm-hmm. Most of the team was injured. So,
right.
Again, like I said, I'm not a big fan of Kyle Shanahan, but as far as this season and even the last, they may do with what they had. But I just think this division's really tough. And you've got the Cardinals and the Rams right there, too. And I understand when you see those other teams in your division making the moves that they do, though. But you got to also look at the Rams and what position they put themselves into. They don't have a first-round pick until 2024. Mm-hmm. They are so backlogged right now and things like that. They need to win now. So when you look at your 49ers, they could still be able to push forward, I think, through all this and perhaps come out of this, leading the division in the next couple years while the Rams are at the bottom and trying to rebuild and restock from the everything that they threw in to the pot. So And that's just the way it goes. I mean, it's tough. Would you rather be like my team who's sucked for the last 10, 12 years or something like that? So, I mean,
or like
I
my
think,
team?
yeah, exactly. Right. We know what it's like to lose and lose coaches and stuff. So I would pump the brakes on Kyle Shanahan because even though I don't like him so much, stuff like that, if the Giants end up firing coaches and things again, I'd give him a try over there for New York. Why not? So, but thank you so much for the comments too, Bob Money. We love it when you join the show. Everybody else out there too, definitely load us up with some questions about your team as well.
Jim, you know something?
What's up?
It's getting kind of cold around here in the Northeast.
Yeah, it is. That's right.
I just want to talk real quick about our friends at Johnstone Supply in Troy, New York.
Johnstone Supply. That's right.
Listen, if you got any kind of winter needs, whether it be a furnace, you need a new furnace, you need some new filters replaced, you have any questions about how can I make my house warmer? How can I make it, feel nice and cozy inside, along with these cold months that are right around the corner? They already started.
I just turned the furnace on.
We hit fall. I even just turned my heat on for the first time, and I'm like, man, it's getting kind of cold over the middle of the night. So, if you have any kind of heating needs, these guys are the guys to go to right here in Troy, New York. If you're local, hit them up. 6th Avenue in Troy, New York, Johnstone Supply. These guys they're a family-owned and operated business. They've been here for years, and they are ready, willing, and able to help you guys in whatever needs you may have to keep your home warm. From George to Tom and the rest of the staff, they're looking forward to helping you guys out. Follow them on Facebook or call them today, 518-272-5922. Johnstone Supply in Troy, New York on 6th Avenue, 518-272-5922. They are sure to help you guys out and keep you guys warm and safe.
Absolutely, yeah, it definitely is, and check them out. Now, here's in the hunt here for the NFC, and like I said, the 49ers, they're not there, but we've got some of those teams in the NFC West right there. We spoke about the Rams and the Cardinals, again, only suffering the one loss and still being able to perform here last week with the backup quarterback and get it done.
Yeah.
That was big against the 49ers. But again, like I said, they shot themselves in the foot so much, I think. But then by the time that came around for them, it was too little too late, I think. That's all what's said and done for them. But now the Packers here again. How long will Aaron Rodgers be out? Will he be able to start this week because he's got to be under evaluation because of
I don't think he's going to be able to
COVID and all that stuff.
I think it's starting to get too close to game day for Sunday, and I feel like they're gonna have to hold him out another week. I don't think the NFL is going to allow him to play just yet. So he might miss another week. And here's the other thing, too. How much does that go into the equation for Odell? Like, if you're unsure about Rodgers coming back, like, who knows? Maybe it's this week. Maybe it's another week. Do you still sign with a team? I mean, probably, right? I mean, it shouldn't be too much of a deterrent. But at the same time, there's a lot of variables, I would say, with this whole situation. But, yeah, Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers. Listen, we already witnessed how without Rodgers, this offense doesn't run very well. They don't run. They don't pass very well, and they're going. And it looks like they're going to struggle mightily after this year. Rodgers is leaving.
Yeah, you want to talk about a team that's got.
He's not going to
have decisions.
He's not staying. Now the
real
intriguing thing is where is Rodgers going to end up, but more importantly for Green Bay, what the hell are you guys going to do in the offseason? Are you going to say, hey, look, we've seen enough from Jordan Love. We got to draft another quarterback. We need to try to have some kind of a competition. And I feel like that's what they're going to have to do because so far, the little bit of time that I've seen Love on the football field and playing, he hasn't impressed me at all. He has not impressed me at all. And this is a quarterback that they traded back into the first round to get to eventually replace Rodgers.
Right.
And that's kind of been the Green Bay's formula. They've always done that. They drafted Rodgers early with the 22nd pick in the first round to replace Brett Favre eventually. That worked out, obviously.
Right.
But now I just don't feel like Love is the guy, and I feel like they're going to need someone else.
But still, even Aaron Rodgers was more highly touted coming out of the draft than Jordan Love was, though.
To my point. I mean, that's the thing is –
it's like, yeah.
Yeah, of course he was down there that low. But why would you trade back into the first round to get him? When Rodgers was pleading with Green Bay, get me help, draft a wide receiver, get me more weapons. Like they have his last name's Rodgers.
Yeah.
I forgot his first name, Amari Rodgers or something like that from Clemson. Kind of like he has speed, but man, is he thick, bro?
Yeah,
he is. He looks built. He looks strong. They need to utilize him more, I feel like, and they haven't really used him a lot until there was no Devontae Adams. Why not utilize him? Get him in there. I mean, he should be easily replacing Cobb at this point.
Right. And then now in that playoff picture too, we see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. So where they've shown this,
we knew that was going to happen, right?
Well, yeah. But what's kind of funny though is everybody since they won the Super Bowl against the Chiefs thought they were going to be number 1 seed through and through. They're the unstoppable team. They've got a lot of veterans, but they're also there's a lot of length on that hand. A lot of older guys.
They're going through a lot of issues right now.
Yeah,
no, their defense isn't the same because they have no secondary.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of their corners are banged up. They're hurt. They're missing. They miss weeks. I forgot. I'm trying to remember. Is it Murphy Bunting or Carl Davis? Is which corner is the one that's out for the year? I forgot. But they lost one of their starting corners early in the season. Gone. Their safeties have been banged up all year. It just seems they're just not healthy anymore, and it's hurting their defense. Listen, their front seven is really good.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it, and that's kind of where their strength is. But they were looking like one of those really nasty, tough type of defenses last year, and now they're just riddled with injuries on that side of the ball. And so far, it hasn't derailed their season. Good thing that they have such a good offense because that's kind of what's helping them get over the hurdle here.
Absolutely, but it's definitely this NFC picture. I think is a lot.
It's more clear cut.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's a lot of good teams though out of this one too. I think the other division, the AFC, there's some decent teams here, but I think there's more questions about some of those teams. I don't think there's a lot of doubt with some of these teams that are here. Like you said, it's a little more clear cut. There has been some sputters. Like again, you saw the Bucs a little bit, the Rams and the Saints, but they had their third string in there. But then Dak Prescott comes back, it's good to play, and they just don't show up at all last week. And what I like to see also what happened last week is Trayvon Diggs again shows that in coverage he's an opportunist. That's it. He gets caught looking too many times, and he gets beat in coverage. Sometimes it works for him, but a lot of times he just gets killed. And so, I mean, that's a liability for them just as much as it's a good point for them to possibly get an interception, but that's what type of player he is.
But Trayvon Diggs, to be honest, he's not a man-to-man guy.
No, obviously not.
Well,
that's why trying to say best corner in the league, though. It's get the hell out of here.
But that's why he's a really good corner for the Dallas Cowboys. They play a lot of zone. But when they do play man, that's when he struggles. And we've seen him get picked on over and over whenever they are in man coverage. So if you want to crown him, then crown him. But I'm just telling you right now, he is what we thought he was.
Right? And then I think the sneaky pick in here, if you look at this, the Falcons. Look at that. And Arthur Smith.
How the hell are they in
the Falcons makes it just basically because of some of these other teams.
But but that's what it is. You look at on the bubble right now, the Panthers, which would have been over here a few weeks ago,
right,
are now, they've been dethroned.
They're dropping
because of the losses that they've sustained. And now I feel like it's just going to get worse because now that Sam Darnold is out for several weeks, it looks like. That with P.J. Walker as your starter, I don't care if you got McCaffrey or not. P.J. Walker's not going to help this offense.
Nope. There you go. It's again. Are we going to hear it? Cam Newton back to the Panthers. I'm surprised we haven't heard this yet.
That'd be crazy,
right? Here, I'm going to say it right now. You're probably going to hear this now coming up. Carolina Panthers gets Cam Newton.
I don't see it though. Yeah. I really don't.
I don't know either.
I don't see it because again, Matt Rule, he needs a guy that throw the ball.
Yeah.
And
then the Vikings, again, they've kind of squandered their opportunities, too, to where they're on the cusp. And for the Seattle Seahawks, they've had Geno Smith the last couple of weeks because Russell Wilson broke his thumb and things.
And I feel like that's hurt for Seattle. That's hurt them so much this season that
it might showed how much he did for them.
Well, we already knew he was the team.
Right.
I mean, we knew he was the offense. He's the thing that makes Seattle go. However, has this hurt this organization so much to the point where, yes, they're on the bubble right now, and thank God it's the NFC because that's one thing I think is the big difference between NFC and AFC. Is AFC is super competitive and close all the time. NFC, you get these little spreads. So whatever the better teams rise to the top in the NFC, and everybody else is just kind of scraping and clawing for last place.
Oh yeah, for nothing.
So this good thing it's the NFC. So Seattle has an opportunity. Maybe they can get back into the hunt, but have they lost too much momentum right now? In terms of now they're getting Russell Wilson back this week, is that going to be a big enough difference to get over this big hurdle of getting back into this playoff contention? Listen, good thing they're on the bubble, and they're not out of it just yet. There's a lot of season left to play. A lot of things can change, but it'll be interesting to see how this playoff race winds down.
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody, they're in the hunt still. It should be interesting, and that's if the season ended today. That's what the playoff picture looks like. So a lot of football going on, Joe, and
a lot of football.
And talk about the picks and wins and losses. Here's our picks competition right now. You and I, you still got me by 4 here. It's tight. We picked exactly the same last week. I should have maybe changed with my Giants, seeing especially we were there at the game. Maybe I should have sided with the Giants and get one more game on it. But
honestly, I almost decided to change to the Giants because it was a 1 o'clock game.
Yeah,
and the Raiders had to travel for a 1 o'clock game. They've never, especially off a bye week. Do you know this stat that the Raiders have never won off of a bye week to play a 1 o'clock game on the East Coast?
Wow, that's good to know maybe for next time, right? But here, I brought it over
there
this time, but here it is. Here's the
Here's
magical
what we're
football.
playing for.
This is what we play for. This is a football-shaped container, and this is what the loser has to drink out of. Anybody that's on podcast, sorry that you can't see this because you're listening, but check it out on our YouTube
It's a football-shaped.
It's a football-shaped container. It's very large, almost the size of a real football. It's there.
Almost.
A small, little mini one. But the loser has to drink that one afterwards at the end of the season, so it's a lot of fun, our drinking
And
show. Everybody loves it.
If we get, I'm gonna tell you this right now.
Yeah.
I thought about this for a while, but if it gets down to it and I still have a lead, and depending on whatever the lead is, I'm going to start picking opposite you no matter what.
Really? Why?
To make it interesting down the stretch.
Oh, man. Come on. Don't lay over for me.
Well, no, here's the thing. Here's what I'm saying.
What?
Because you're running the show basically over there.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Yeah.
You're making all the checks and balances over there.
Ooh,
if you're drinking, I don't think this show doesn't continue very long.
Put it on autopilot. Yeah, that's what I mean. Maybe. Who knows? Like I said, I'll have it written out here for you maybe on what to do. Hit this button now. Or maybe I'll just
might have to. Yeah. Might have to switch spots or something.
We'll see. Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? It could be fun. It could be disastrous. A lot of things, disasters have happened when I drink. So, yes, absolutely.
Right.
So, here you go. Here's
the picks
competition. Let's go. We've got the Baltimore Ravens and the Miami Dolphins tomorrow night here, Thursday night, for Veterans Day. The Baltimore Ravens, Miami just isn't very good this year, and they've got Jacoby Brissett back there too now as well.
Yeah.
It's just not
Tua
good
doesn't
enough.
look like he's going to come back to play this week.
No, Baltimore Ravens, they look like they're coming back into their own, even though the defense is struggling. I'm going to go with the Ravens on this one.
I'm gonna say this is going to be closer than people think, because of the struggles with the Baltimore defense. And listen, if anything has taught you about primetime games is to expect the unexpected. Because when you think this is a shoe-in, like Miami's going to get dominated, like that's kind of what I'm thinking. But at the same time, I should know better that this is going to be probably a better game than people think. I think it'll be a little bit closer, but Baltimore is going to edge out Miami.
All right, next, Atlanta Falcons and the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, this could be a different game now, too, after that last one and the way the Falcons have been able to get things done. I think the interesting thing with the Falcons is because of loss of weapons and some of the things that's happened with them, I think people have not really been paying attention to Matt Ryan,
them better,
even
to
too.
be
You know what I
honest.
mean? They haven't, he hasn't been on anybody's real radar.
Atlanta's offense has gotten better since the absence of Calvin Ridley. I know it sounds weird because Ridley is such a gifted receiver, but Russell Gage is finally starting to come on. He's now a bigger part of the offense. Olamide Zacchaeus, he's another guy that's kind of started to gain some reputation in that offense as well. And Cordarrelle Patterson has been lighting it up this year in Atlanta. And I mean dominating.
Come back to life, right?
Absolutely dominating. Finally, an offense has figured out what to do with Cordarrelle Patterson, and it's playing off big time for this team. And Kyle Pitts is now starting to get going. He's starting to come on in this offense, and right at the right time, especially with Ridley not being there. Mike Davis, I don't even know who he is anymore. Running back,
a shell of his former self.
Yeah, he was great for Carolina last year. Now he should have been on your milk carton.
I know.
Player
Probably
of
should
missing.
have. Yeah,
You know?
that would have been an easy one.
And the defense has been playing better. So it goes hand in hand. The offense puts points on the board, gives the defense time to rest, and they're right in the lineup here. It's in Dallas, which is going to be a difficult thing for me to pick here because I kind of expect Dallas to come back strong this week and try to make a statement. I don't think Atlanta is no pushover by any means, but the Cowboys, they got to be looking to make a statement, I feel like, this week for the Cowboys. I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Dallas in this one.
All right. I'm going to go with Dallas as well, again, just because I really can't gauge Atlanta. I'm not sure where they're going to go. Whenever I side with them, they're one of those teams that just do me wrong, and then I don't, and it's all messed up. It was funny. I was kind of thinking as you're talking about it, if Atlanta had a better record just a little bit, and they were still, even though it's showing there right now, they're in the playoffs right now.
They're in the playoff hunt.
How would Odell look in with that offense with Matt Ryan?
That's the thing is, like, he needs it. But Ridley, who knows how long he's going to be out.
Yeah,
and
it's
when he
like
comes
kind
back,
of like whenever, so it's such a big question mark.
And when he comes back, and here's the thing, let's be honest. Like, Odell's not going to Atlanta.
Yeah,
He's just not.
I know.
Matt Ryan.
But just when I think about it again, I'm thinking of Matt Ryan with him, and then you've got some of the other weapons.
Because
it looks really cool.
Yeah, but the thing is like the fit for him. Like, he goes to Atlanta. Let's just say that happens, right? Odell's going to be happy for the first week or two, and then Ridley comes back. Then Ridley's going to steal targets, and Kyle Pitts is going to steal targets. He's not the go-to guy. He could develop to be. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's again, you're going on an offense where they distribute the football everywhere. It's not just one guy. So.
All right, so next up we got the New Orleans Saints and the Tennessee Titans. Titans really playing strong, even without Derrick Henry there.
They really are.
It hasn't really made a difference because that defensive line stepped up. But then, again, New Orleans, they have I like their defense as well, but that offense with Trevor Siemian and just not having that true starter there anymore, they're on their third string. I think they might make this a little closer than it probably should be, but I like the Tennessee Titans here to come out with the win here at home.
Yeah, not to mention Taysom Hill's going to make he's definitely going to make some appearances here. And I don't know if New Orleans would be better off with him as the starting quarterback or just to continue to use him as that gadget type of player, to kind of throw off defenses. But New Orleans has got a really good defense. They're coming into Tennessee, and Tennessee's they've kind of surprised me a little bit right now. And despite not having Derrick Henry, how much is that going to hurt him in this game? Because the Saints defense is going to definitely try to make sure that Tannehill throws the ball and this offense becomes one-dimensional. And if they're successful, we're going to really see what Ryan Tannehill in this passing offense is capable of doing against a tough defense like the Saints. I like Tennessee at home. This is going to be a real type of prove-it game for the Titans. Everyone's asking the questions, are they for real? Are they legit? Well, this could possibly help answer those questions right here this week if they are able to beat the Saints.
All right, absolutely. So I'm with you on that one too as well. And we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts. Man, this one, it's just strange. But, I mean, how healthy is – I know Trevor Lawrence came back into that game, but is he a good to go for this one? I mean, that would be nice for them because then they have, I think, a better legit chance. But despite – mistakes that the Colts make and Carson Wentz, he has been kind of playing a bit better here. I think it all relies, again, on their running game and getting that established here against Jacksonville. But I think the Colts have enough here to pull out this victory against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All I have to say is Jonathan Taylor. That's it.
Yeah.
This guy's been averaging well over.
Naheem Hines has been able to do too either. It just has that little just tidbit a little bit here and there.
He's been
a break.
He's been averaging well over 100 yards, almost about 120 yards a game. Just been absolutely killing it. And listen, if you guys tuned into our show before the season started, we did mention that this offense is going to be running through Jonathan Taylor. If he's not successful, this offense won't be successful. And so far, it's been working out for them. Carson Wentz, despite his injuries early in the season, he's still standing upright for the most part and delivering the football to Michael Pittman Jr. And we brought it up earlier in the show that maybe this is kind of like a dark horse destination too for maybe Odell. And that would definitely make this Colts team kind of catapult into this like division. You know what I mean? Maybe even contend for it against Tennessee. So going up against Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, he's got a little bit of a bum high ankle sprain, and usually when it comes to high ankle sprains, they kind of don't go away for a while without some aid. And I feel like even if he does play, he will be hampered a little bit by it. So I'm going to go with the Colts in this one at home.
All right, here we go. We're picking the same again all the way through here so far. All right, now we've got this one might be different. The Cleveland Browns at the New England Patriots. Again, the Patriots have been playing well. The Cleveland Browns seems like they're doing better without Odell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield played better last week too, which was a big thing for Cleveland because again, dealing with that shoulder issue with everything, it seemed like him playing injured was a worse thing for them, and they would rather have Case Keenum in there playing for them. But again, going into New England, it's always tough to come out of there with a victory.
Sure is.
I think for me, I'm going to still side with that because the way Bill Belichick is, and he tries to plan ahead and try and take out your best weapon here. But I think they're not even going to have Nick Chubb for this game, right, Joe? Or
no Nick Chubb.
So that could be one of their bigger weapons too. So yeah, so I think I like the New England Patriots here in this one.
Yeah, COVID, and here's the other thing too.
Damn
is
you, COVID.
Everybody kind of say, oh, there's no Nick Chubb, so they're not going to have much of a running game. Well, if you remember when Chubb was out for some time with an injury, D'Ernest Johnson came in and lit it up.
D'Ernest, yeah, that's right.
I mean, he was amazing for them.
Mm-hmm.
I look for him to do much of the same. But here's the thing: what does New England do so well? They take away your best asset of your offense, the best player on your defense, and make them kind of null and void. Bill Belichick, he's going to have a great game plan against this team. And in New England, it is a very tough place to play. But I really like the reemergence of this defense for Cleveland. They seem to be playing a lot tighter with chemistry, and they seem to be playing a lot better the past couple of weeks. I'm going to go with Cleveland in this one.
All right, Cleveland Browns. There we go. Different. All right, now the Buffalo Bills at the New York Jets. Again, they have Mike White going. That was a nice story for them.
Watch out for Mike White.
I think, again, I don't exactly think this is a trap game. If the Buffalo Bills go into here and they end up losing this game, I think Buffalo fans are really going to jump off of a roof somewhere because
they're going to jump
through multiple tables. All right?
Tables.
They're going to run through a table.
Yes.
Because, I can even see last week because Buffalo Bill fans know more than anybody. They've talked to us a bunch of times about these things. The Bills have these certain weeks where it's just like, they're due for this loss. They're going to lose to this terrible team. It just happens. It's a Buffalo Bill thing. That it just happens. And I think last week was that thing. I don't think it's going to continue 2 weeks in a row here against the Jets. I think this is a good team to bounce back against because it's a team. It's not very good. Still trying to work their way through some of the quarterback issues and this even not having a lot of skilled players. I like the Buffalo Bills in this one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love Mike White. I love what he's been able to do in limited fashion. Had a stellar first start, throwing for over 400 yards, really like kind of slinging the ball wherever he needed to. And I saw before he got injured the last start that he had, he went 4 for 7, was kind of marching down the field and then got injured. So now that he's healthy, he definitely gives the Jets a chance.
A better chance.
There is a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance.
I'm saying there's a chance. But the Buffalo Bills, listen, they got to be really pissed off after last week's, we'll just say, speed bump. So they're going to try to make a statement this game against the Jets, against the divisional opponent, and kind of rack up the points and blow them out. I got Buffalo.
All right. Circle the wagons. We got the Buffalo Bills. Now the Detroit Lions at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, Pittsburgh, I think, barely edged out of that game. I think the referees might have helped a bit for that victory, too, as well. Not looked as good, but they do play well at home. That defense, T.J. Watt still making problems for a lot of teams out there. He's a guy that doesn't get talked about enough. And the Detroit Lions, they're just in trouble. They just can't get things to go their way. They're just not a very good team either. No matter how much heart they're trying to play with and Dan Campbell, they just can't do it. So I don't think they'll get their first win here against Pittsburgh either.
You know it's coming, though.
There's going
to be a surprise game.
There's another chance.
There's going to be a surprise game where Detroit does get a win.
Mm-hmm.
Not too often does it happen. It's actually very rare that a team goes winless.
It is. But they've done it multiple times, though. So, if there was a team, it would be this team.
But this game in Pittsburgh, really a tough environment to play, to say the least. The one good thing about Detroit this week is that they're going to have a healthy offensive line. Taylor Decker is returning this week at left tackle, moving Penei Sewell back over to the right tackle spot, and it looks like they might actually have a healthy offensive line. So there's that. But nonetheless, Pittsburgh Steelers, T.J. Watt, this defense, they've been keeping this team in every game.
Mm-hmm.
And if at all, if Pittsburgh's able to, sustain the running game and kind of keep Big Ben out of throwing the football too much, they're going to definitely get the win. So I got Pittsburgh at home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, here now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Washington football team. And I bet the NFL, when they had this game on the schedule, I'm sure we're like, this is going to be great.
This is going to be a good game.
Because this is going to be a rematch of that playoff game. Chase Young back there at Tom Brady. Maybe this time they could pull off the win. You got Ryan Fitzpatrick. And you're not getting any of that right now. You're getting Taylor Heineke again, who had his one game against the Giants and looked like, oh, here he goes. This is a nice, good story and stuff like that. Your feel-good story. And just since then, it's been rough.
Oh,
it's been rough for the Washington football team. Haven't been able to get it together here for them. Luckily for them, they're still in a bad division, but I mean, it doesn't look great for them, especially playing up here against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs, again, having their problems here and there and stuff, but they still have the talent on their side. They have Tom Brady on their side. I mean, it just overall looks better for them. I don't see Washington coming out of this one with a win. I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay's offense is what's keeping them in all these games.
Yeah.
Tom Brady and everybody. Mike Evans. Listen, there hasn't
even
been,
without Antonio Brown, you still have all
Chris
those other
Godwin.
weapons. Yeah.
And with Chris Godwin. He looked like he was going to come back this week until something derailed that. He's going to be out another week. But they're going to be okay. They got Rob Gronkowski. They got a plethora of weapons besides them. Watch out
they
for.
They just signed Darren Fells because of the issues with Rob Gronkowski too. So
and watch out for Johnson. The third string, fourth string type of wide receiver. He's going to play a big part in this game, and he's kind of coming into his own as well as this running game that they got. You know what I mean? I mean, there's not too many defenses that have been successful in stopping the run against Tampa Bay, and Washington's defense has been the biggest disappointment this year, hands down. It looks like we've seen a little bit of a spark from them defensively, the past couple of weeks. But when you don't have an offense that's putting up enough points, it's hard to win. So I'm going Tampa all the way.
All right, here we go. Now we've got the Carolina Panthers and the Arizona Cardinals. This does not look good for the Carolina Panthers because, again, you've got P.J. Walker in here. You've got the injury with Sam Darnold.
Yep.
Again, they're just dropping off the charts here, loss after loss after loss, and just in a worse time now they have to face the division leader and rival the Arizona Cardinals. Who knows? The Cardinals might even start Colt McCoy against the
rest up Kyler Murray.
The Carolina Panthers too as well. So I like the Arizona Cardinals here at home.
Yeah, I mean what else are you going to say? This game,
not much.
If Darnold was here, then it could be a good discussion of like what team you would go with. But I feel like with P.J. Walker at the helm, there's really no contention on this. This offense is going to spit and sputter. They're not going to be very well. Listen, I know they got McCaffrey back, and that's going to help them a little bit. But I don't think it's going to be enough to overcome Arizona's, super offense that they've got. I mean, good luck trying to defend all these weapons that they have. Not to mention, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, well, they don't have Edmonds this week." Well, that's okay. They got James Conner, and he seems to be doing.
He's been doing
okay,
absolutely well.
So, in this Arizona defense, it's really come on. We felt before the season started that this could be like one of those underrated defenses that kind of show up out of nowhere, and sure enough, they're showing out. Arizona all the way.
Absolutely. Here we got the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Chargers, Joe. What do you think about this one?
This is going to be an interesting game because they're two teams that are not familiar with each other. So I feel like Minnesota matches up well against the LA Chargers, and they might give them some fits. Chargers, I like Justin Herbert. I like what he's doing. I like the coaching staff. I can't talk enough about this coaching staff for the Chargers. I mean, very smart, and they're aggressive. I mean, they go for it more than any other team on fourth downs to keep these drives going. But eventually, I feel like that's going to kind of bite them in the rear end. You know, going down the stretch, going for this division race and playoff race. Vikings, on the other hand, they've been up and down all season. I mean, defensively, they've been stagnant at times. They've also been really good at times. And the same thing can be said for the offense as well. Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, where the hell have you been? Another milk carton nominee. And
he was my last week's.
Could have been again. Adam Thielen,
I think he had
still kind of holding it down for this offense. But Dalvin Cook, I look for him to kind of have a bigger game this week, get back to that running game to open up the offense. And we'll see what happens there. I'm going to go with Minnesota coming into L.A. and getting a win.
Yeah, so you got Minnesota here?
Yep.
Yeah, how about Dalvin Cook? Seeing him, too, run along the sidelines last week, really becoming part of the offense again. We got to see that when we were at the stadium and what they were able to do. And that was kind of a shock for me. They were able to wake up because we complained about it. Like, I talked about it. You know, with that vanilla offense, it looked bad. They kept going play action. When I'm not buying it, you haven't run at all. What's all this fake handoff crap?
Right.
And then you didn't even fake handoff and bootleg
work.
to get into options. You just stayed there. It was so stupid. And then what a turnaround from to change it up. But I'm going to go with the home team here. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay.
I just think I like what's going on here. Like you said, coaching staff and everything.
Can you do me a favor? Can you go back and look at Mike Tackett's picks?
Yeah, let's look at Mike Tackett's picks and see how he did here as well. That's right, Mike Tackett in the mix with us. All right, we'll start it off from the beginning. Ravens. He's got the Ravens. We have the Ravens. All right, he's got Cowboys. We have the Cowboys.
He's got the Titans.
Yep. We've got the Titans.
Colts.
Yep. All right, we've got the Colts. That's right.
We do.
The Browns. He's got the Browns. You've got the Browns. I've got the Patriots.
He
always
Bills.
sides with the Browns. I think he's a Browns homer.
All
right, the Bills.
He's got the Steelers.
Yep.
He's got the Buccaneers.
Yep.
He's got Arizona.
Yeah.
He's got the Chargers. He's got let's see, Broncos. He's got Broncos.
Yep.
And he's got in the
Seahawks.
Seattle Green Bay game. He's got Seahawks.
Then Chiefs and Rams.
And then Rams. Okay.
So a couple split different between the two of us. So this is going to be interesting.
And there's going to be a couple more.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Yeah.
Ooh, foreshadowing.
Here we go. And Philadelphia Eagles and the Denver Broncos, two teams that, again, have been hanging out in some of these games. And that's the funny thing about the Broncos again. It's you see this a lot with some teams. They dump Von Miller. Right? Because they're finally like, all right, it's trade time. There have been talks about it. We can unload them.
Yep.
See, we go. We get our picks.
Yep.
So they're saying we're rebuilding. You know, we get some value from Von Miller while we can. We're rebuilding. And they go out and they shellac the Denver Broncos without Von Miller and stuff like that. Like, so clearly Von Miller was the problem with the Denver Broncos. You know, so it's just kind of funny how that happens. But the Philadelphia Eagles, I got to say one thing. They've been playing tough against a lot of games. They've been in a lot of games.
They've been competitive in every single game.
Despite the problems, like Jalen Hurts, the issues that he has with missing some receivers and here and there, still been able to make some big plays with his legs. Absolutely. So, and even though it's a Philadelphia Eagles team, I hate the team. But, you know, I like this. I like to watch Jalen Hurts, though, and I like to see what he does here. You know what I'm saying? I'm interested.
So what are you picking?
Well, I don't know. It's Denver at home. Who's going to start? Is it still going to be Teddy Bridgewater here for Denver?
Obviously.
Yeah. So you know what? I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. How about that?
There you go.
Let's be different. I hate the Eagles still, so I'm going Broncos.
It's still? It didn't change?
No, it didn't change.
Okay.
I still like to watch Jalen Hurts running around.
All right, so the Eagles, listen.
Jerry Judy's back now, right?
He's been back.
Good. Yeah, so it's good. We're good.
We're good.
He's going to be good.
Said hut. So we got the Eagles. Listen, the Eagles defense, we weren't crazy about them, especially in the linebacking core. We know their secondary is pretty strong in their defensive line. But I don't know. With this game coming into Denver doesn't have the best offensive line. That's kind of concerning. I feel like if the Eagles are able to stop the run and make them one-dimensional, they might really have a good shot of beating Denver. Now, they're no slouch, but they're no juggernaut either. And for the Broncos, without having Von Miller, I still have a hard time figuring this defense out. I will say that the Broncos do an extremely good job of finding hidden talent, whether it be running backs or pass rushers. And I feel like when they moved on from Von Miller, they had something up their sleeve the whole time, and it doesn't look like they missed much when they moved on from him. So with the Denver Broncos at home, the Eagles coming to town, I think I'm going to go with Philly on this one.
All right, there you go. That's a commit. All right,
Because
here we go.
I hate Denver.
Yeah, that's the opposite what we've done here. All right, so we got the Seattle Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers. Russell Wilson does come back here. Green Bay, this for me, if Aaron Rodgers is able to play out like the Packers, if not, you know where it's going. So that's basically the bottom line here for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with the same sentiment that Jim said. Listen, if Jordan Love is starting, it's hands down Seattle. Seattle's getting back Russell. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if Wilson was out another week, and then you got Geno Smith versus Jordan Love?
Yeah, right. Like everybody wants to see that on
But I like
25 game.
And who knows? I mean, maybe if we all know that Odell said he's gonna, or his agent at least, or whoever said he's gonna take a few days before he's gonna decide on a team. Now, since if that is a true statement, he's not playing this week no matter who he signs with. So if it is Green Bay, we got to look for the following week for him to show up. But, again, Seattle's going to win this game. They get Russell Wilson back. When you got guys like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, I mean, there's a lot to like there with the Seattle offense. And Seattle's defense is very aggressive. They're going to come right at – if Jordan Love is the quarterback, God help you, Green Bay, because it's going to get ugly.
So you like Seattle if Jordan Love is going to play, but if Aaron Rodgers is playing, do you like Green Bay or do you still like Seattle? Yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure. Yeah, no, I just want to make sure on it. Okay, now the Sunday night game here. Again, I think the NFL looked for this to be a nice marquee matchup here Sunday night. America's, night, 8:20. The Kansas City Chiefs. Now the Raiders going to be better too. This is going to be a great matchup, and it's going to be kind of rough here. This is going to be, the Chiefs really looking terrible on offense. Defense looks like they're trying to do something. At least they held the last team to like 6 points. But the Vegas Raiders, again, let one slip away from them by the turnovers and mistakes last week. Can they fix that here against the Kansas City Chiefs? What do you think, Joe?
Carr's going to be sharp. He's going to be focused this game.
And they play hard at home, too, as well.
I mean, he even came onto that presser after the game and said, "This loss is on me." He goes, "I know I didn't execute. I know I made mistakes, and I let whatever it was get the better of him." You know what I mean? So when Carr's focused, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I'm not shying away from that comment. Like he really is. He's a top 10 quarterback. He was last year. He played when he's on point. He's deadly. So I fully expect going against a team like the Chiefs. Listen, this is a rivalry, big-time rivalry. This is going to be a great game. It's going to be real close, right down the stretch. It's going to be whatever team has the ball last type of situation, and that's going to end up determining the winner. No doubt about it. This has happened last year. The Raiders split games with the Chiefs, and they finally figured out, like, hey, the Chiefs don't own us anymore. We can take the game to them, and they should have won their second matchup against the Chiefs last year, but lost by a field goal. These games are tight all the time. Listen, Vegas is at home. They are going to be hungry. They're going to be after it, and I feel like they're going to be ready for this Chiefs team to come visit and send them on their way with a loss. I'm going Raiders.
All right, this is a tough one for me. I kind of want to side with the Chiefs, but
real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Real quick, I want to mention too is that you also got to remember too that the Raiders defense, as bad as it was last year, now it's better, and they were that close to beating the Chiefs. And that was a Chiefs offense that was unstoppable.
Right.
A lot of times. So
right.
That's what's going to make this game really tight. I feel like whoever makes the least mistakes, I think, wins.
Yeah, and I think really overall, I think for the Raiders, they're just more of a complete team, I think, at this point. They're able to run it with Josh Jacobs if they have to.
Kenyon Drake had a good game, too.
Drake, too, as well. Like I was just going to say, you can hand it off to him. Lately, the Chiefs haven't been doing it. If they stay one-dimensional, I think the Raiders, especially at home, that crowd's going to go ballistic. They'll be able to put the pressure here on the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think I'm going to go with the Vegas Raiders as well, Joe. All right, here we go.
Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football, the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. Bob Money was with us here tonight. He's talking about the San Francisco 49ers. He's a big Niners fan. Should they fire Kyle Shanahan? I don't think so.
No way.
But the Rams, Matthew Stafford, they want to put the last week's game behind them too as well. But this is a tough divisional matchup. San Francisco is going to want to take it here to the Rams while they're vulnerable. They're hungry. But again, overall, I think just talent-wise, the Rams are still just better. And so even though San Francisco is at home, I still think they have some issues they're working through. And again, losing Mike McGlinchey there here at the offensive line too as well is a big issue for them.
Yep.
I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams.
And I love the Rams. I mean, here's the thing that's going to be really awesome, everybody. Guess who debuts this week? Von Miller. He didn't play last week. Now he's coming in this week. He knows a lot more of the playbook, obviously, after a week of studying. And, wow, you got Aaron Donald in the middle and Von Miller coming off the edge.
He could have used him last week.
Listen, here's the worst part. Jimmy G's at quarterback. He can't run away from Von Miller. It's going to be a problem in the backfield for San Fran. The Rams are going to be looking to make, the exclamation point this game. They are going to want to stomp the hell out of the 49ers. It's in an interdivision game, so it gives them a shot. It's going to be closer than it's not going to be a blowout. It's a primetime game. And teams, despite their record, they show up for primetime games. So still feel like this is going to be a good matchup, but I think the Rams are going to get the edge on the Niners. I would say this. If Jimmy G wasn't the starter right now, if Trey Lance came back and Kyle Shanahan made the decision of putting Trey Lance in as the starter, I think it would have given them a little notch upwards in terms of getting a better chance to win the game. Because Trey Lance is a very mobile guy, and that way he could kind of create some plays that way to kind of open up this offense. But seeing Jimmy G as the starter, he could bring them in on wrinkles of plays and stuff, but the Rams, their defense has been so good this season. Their offense has been highly prolific, and look for Stafford to correct some of the mistakes he made last week and kind of really pour it on to a division rival this week.
Absolutely. So that's it. That's the picks for this week. Let's look at the records again.
There you have it.
Joe's got me by 4, but again, we picked a lot of different ones this week, so
That's right.
Let's see what happens. It might end up being a wash again and still end up in the same spot,
right.
But who knows? Every week's
right.
different. And again, one more time, we showed this right before we end up getting started tonight here, but I'm going to, again, throw this out there because tomorrow is Veterans Day, so I want to thank all of our service members of the military and everybody out there that are helping protect this country and veterans out there. We want to honor all of you guys, especially tomorrow. Thank you so much for your service, everyone out there who fought before and died, and then also people that are still out there, wounded veterans, everything. You see a veteran tomorrow, you see a military member, a service member, make sure tomorrow
Make sure you thank them.
You thank them so much for everything that they do, no matter what, no matter whatever, president might be in, terms or whatever. They do their job. They do what they have to do to help us, and make sure you guys let them know that you appreciate it because they do it all out of their heart and for no matter who you are out there. So they're doing their jobs, and it's a tough job. So we thank you and thank them. Absolutely. So
Absolutely. It's the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah.
Make sure you thank any veteran. Thank you all the men and women out there that have fought and have served and that who have stood by our country. Listen, they are the defense for us.
Mm-hmm.
They have sacrificed. There are some people that had to sacrifice their lives and some people that are still fighting today.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure, you, like Jim said, you make sure you go out of your way even. If you see a veteran driving or whatever, just go up and say thank you for everything that you've done, because it's amazing how unselfish people are for fighting for our country and to give us the freedoms that we get to enjoy. Like me and Jimmy wouldn't be doing this broadcast. We wouldn't be doing it for podcasts or YouTube or anything. YouTube might not even exist. Who knows? Yeah, definitely. Thanks, everybody out there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for all the support. Thanks to all our sponsors out there. You guys are amazing. Really appreciate you. Paul Perry Kitchens, Mohawk Honda, Johnstone Supply in Troy, New York, Colorize. What am I missing? Buck Environmental Solutions.
Yeah, everybody out there.
Raise Energy. Thank you guys all so much for your support in helping this channel and what you guys can do. If you're a know-it-all, current know-it-all, if you're not a know-it-all, make sure you go ahead and follow us on Facebook or YouTube. Football on the Know Show is where to search us and find us. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to let you know when we go live. We are also on Twitter at FB_know. It really helps us a lot if you could share, like the video, comment below, anything at all football related. We will be gladly to answer them. Thank you all so very much. We will see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, thank you for Steve Murray, voiceactorgarage.com, who does our voiceovers for our show, and also Down Monday for the music in our intro. So if you guys like them, check them out on iTunes as well, Down Monday. All right, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next week.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday nights for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.